What's up guys, welcome back to another video. So I made a video talking about what I would like to see in Nightreign, but I wasn't very specific about it. So I guess here I'm just gonna talk about what bosses that I would love to see. I recently saw some other YouTubers make some videos like this, so I thought I would also make one. And yeah, so I'll be picking two bosses from the base game and one boss from the DLCs from these games. So yeah, we're gonna start with Dark Souls 1. Now, there's some pretty good choices. So for Dark Souls 1, we already have the Gaping Dragon and Centipede Demon. I think these are very random choices, but they're not bad. But I was expecting to see someone else here. Or I guess two people here. Ornstein Smoke, I think, is a pretty obvious choice. I don't, it's not really that much of a question. Like, let's be real. I also think Four Kings would have been an amazing choice. But I think I'm gonna have to go. Ooh. Bell Gargoyles is also really good. Okay, this one's tough. I should have thought about this. I did not think. I thought I'll just say it on the spot. But this is hard. Alright. Okay, I think I'm gonna have to go with Ornstein Smo and Chaos Switch Quelaag. Bell Gargoyle is a really close choice. It's very close. But if I had to pick two new bosses, it would be Ornstein Smo and Chaos Switch Quelaag. Now, obviously, Ornstein Smo, it's a two-phase boss. Second phase is just like a stronger version of whichever you killed. Everyone knows that. For Quelaag, oof. Now, you're gonna have to make her a little tankier. But, you know, I think she'd be a pretty decent fit. She's a pretty big boss. Give her some more AoE moves. Just give her some more moves, I guess, instead of swinging her sword forward. I think she would be a pretty decent boss. Spell Gargoyles could also be a pretty good boss. Because obviously it's two bosses, you know, it'd be pretty sick. I thought they were like guaranteed, but I guess they weren't. Let's see some mini bosses. Giant Cat, that's a mini boss? You know, I would love to see the Fang Boar and the Titanite Demon in the game. Wouldn't that be sick? And these dudes, the Crystal Golems, like, come on. We need some more Dark Souls enemies in here too. Alright. Now, for the DLC boss, okay, this one's gonna be a pretty unpopular choice. But I think I'm gonna go for Sanctuary Guardian. It's like, okay, if we're gonna add like all these previous bosses, right? They already made some weird choices with Centipede Demon. But I think all three of these choices are a little too extreme for an Elden Ring centric game. If it wasn't called Elden Ring, then I wouldn't mind adding any of these guys back. But I feel like these guys are just too obvious picks, and they obviously remind you too much of the previous games. I think Sanctuary Guardian would fit the Elden Ring aesthetic a lot more than Artorias, Calamite, and Manus. I mean, I don't even actually remember finding these guys like brain dead easy. But I think most Dark Souls 1 bosses are pretty easy. But yeah, I think Sanctuary Guardian's not bad of a choice. Though obviously I think Manus and Artorias would also be pretty. I don't know, Calamite's kind of weird for me. I don't know. I don't know how I feel about this fight. We already have like a dragon boss for Dark Souls 1. I think Sanctuary Guardian would be pretty cool. Though I guess if you want like a human type boss, we could have like Priscilla, Gwendolyn, or Bell Gargoyles. We have Quelaag as a human, like we could, you know. But yeah, Dark Souls 1 doesn't have that many human knight bosses, but Dark Souls 2 does. And this is what I want to say. The Pursuer should have been in the game immediately. Like, the whole point of the Pursuer in Dark Souls 1, or Dark Souls 2, is that it would spawn in and, like, it would just spawn in randomly and try and kill you. That sounds perfect for Nightreign. Why wasn't that even considered? Come on. Come on, FromSoft. Like, seriously? This was such an obvious, easy W. But, you know, I better see it. You can always rectify this. Add the Pursuer in. Add it in. And then, yeah, so for Dark Souls 2, we have Dukeseer Freya, and we have Smelter Demon. We technically have the blue and red Smelter Demon. But, yeah, I would really like to see the Pursuer. That is my first choice. Second choice is a little harder. Because Dark Souls 2 has some bosses. I'll tell you that. Now, it'd be pretty cool to open an Everjail and with some of the Prowling Mages and Congregation. But I think a really good boss to add is a tie. My three-way tie. Four-way tie. It's a four-way tie between Looking Glass Knight, Belfry Gargoyles, Ruined Sentinels, and Throne Watcher and Defender. Because, these are all multi-enemy bosses, I think. Right? Yeah, these are all multi-enemy bosses. Looking Glass Knight, Ruined Sentinels. What was the third one I said? It says four-way tie, right? Oh yeah, Belfry Gargoyles. These are all multiple bosses, And I think Throne Watcher and Defender would be really cool because you have a tanky dude and you have a really thin dude, and they're both trying to kill you, but they can revive each other. I think that's pretty cool if done well. Especially, like if they can do what we did, we can hit our friends and revive them. What if they could do the same? That would be pretty cool. Looking last night, you can summon the NPCs. You know how when you go into the tornado areas with the bubble on the map, the blue sphere thing, you can find like evil accursed invaders that try and get you. What if you could just summon them? Belfry Gargoyle is pretty obvious. It's a DPS check. Same with Four Kings. You have to fight that, and I think it's 5 total, and yeah, that'd be pretty cool. Rune Sentinels, it's 3 of them. It's like the Crystallians. I guess I'd get rid of them. The Crystallians are way too similar, so maybe get rid of these guys. So it's between Looking Glass Knight, Belfry Gargoyles, and Throne Watcher and Defender. But if I had to pick, the simplest choices would just be Belfry Gargoyles and Throne Watcher and Defender. See, if you wanted to get the Gargoyles, these are like the same thing, alright? So, yeah, I think this is a pretty good choice. Throne Watcher and Defender, and Belfry Gargoyles. They just make the most sense in a multiplayer setting, even though I've rarely played the game multiplayer. Alright, DLC is a little hard, because there's some pretty good bosses here in the DLC. Honestly, I could see any one of these. We already have Blue Smeltered even. I could see any one of these being added, right? Lun and Zong can get their redemption arc. Burnt Ivory King would be an excellent choice. Same with Fume Knight. Fume Knight is probably the most iconic Dark Souls 2 boss. It's probably the best Dark Souls 2 boss. But what I think it would be good in Nightreign, I really think Burnt Ivory King would be the best choice here, actually. Because it could be a 2-phase boss. The first phase could be you fighting its little knights, and then once you kill the knights, like at the beginning of each boss, you have to fight like a bunch of enemies. Imagine that first phase being a bunch of the Burnt Ivory King's knights, and then once you kill all the knights, a giant portal opens up, and he just walks in through, and he beats your ass. That would be so sick. That would be beautiful. I could see the same thing as Fume Knight. You have to fight like those weird dudes that you have to fight in like right before his arena to break all the healing things. And then, boom, he pops out of the ground with his sword and he kicks your ass. That'd be so sick. Sir Alone, maybe the same. You have to fight a bunch of Alone Knights. Pops out somewhere. But yeah, these 3 are pretty good. Let's ignore these guys. But these 3, pretty cool. Maybe Lenzon, you fight those stupid reindeers. And then these 2 spawn in. But yeah, on to Dark Souls 3. Now, Dark Souls 3, it's got some pretty sick bosses. We got pretty decent bosses for Dark Souls 3. We got the Dancer and we got Nameless King. Those are pretty good bosses. They're not bad. But I think there could be some other cool bosses. Abyss Watchers? That would be so sick, alright? Seriously, how could we not get Abyss Watchers? That fight looks like it was made for this, alright? You just have like a bunch of enemies. You have to fight one dude. You need to fight a bunch of them. And then on the second phase, you gotta fight one of them, and he has like these cool fire things. It's pretty cool. But for the second boss, I don't know. I don't really see any of these other bosses fitting. Maybe Deacons? Deacons would be a nice little stupid fight, but I don't know. I don't think people would appreciate that. Old Demon King wouldn't be bad. He has a lot of AoEs. Pontiff would be a pretty decent choice too, especially because he can summon like a little second version of him. That wouldn't be a bad choice. Eorm would also not be a bad choice. Aldrich, I don't want Aldrich. Soul of Cinder, maybe. Lothric and Lorien, not bad choices. Yeah, I think I'll go with Pontiff. Pontiff is probably the best choice. He's the most iconic boss from Dark Souls 3. He's got support. He can summon things that can help him out. Got lightsabers. Like, seriously, what is not to love about Pontiff Sullivan? It's a great boss. A very memorable boss. Alright, so Dark Souls 3 has 2 DLCs. So I'm going to pick one of each from both the DLCs. Because it's the only one that has 2 DLCs. Technically, Dark Souls 2 has 4 DLCs, but in Scholar of the First Sin Edition, they're all merged into one thing. So that doesn't count. So obviously, we're going to go with Grave Tender and Grave Tender Wolf. I'm just kidding. But that wouldn't be a bad fight, honestly. That wouldn't be a bad fight to add. But obviously, it's going to have to be Sister Fried. That's like second phase Sister Fried and then the third phase Sister Fried. You can probably skip first phase Sister Fried. But second and third phase Sister Fried, come on. And then Dark Souls 3. This one's a tough one because Demon in Pain and Demon from Below are very good boss. But Slave Knight Gale. Like, it's not the worst choice. But I think I'll have to give it to Demon in Pain and Demon Below. Like, come on, it's a duo boss that becomes a really cool, sick boss at the end when you, depending on which demon you kill first or last, I guess. It's so cool. All right, it's really cool. And can we get some of these mini bosses? Can we get some Boreal Outrider Knights here and there? Can we get some stray demons? Can we get? Oh, come on, we need some of these demons here and there. Like, give us the Karthus Sand. I'm joking. Don't give us that. That'd be terrible. But you know what? I think those are good choices. All right, those are some good choices. All right, Quelaag, Ornstein Smoke. You know, iconic Dark Souls 1 bosses. Sanctuary Guardian. It's not iconic, but it certainly doesn't take away from the Elden Ring vibe. It's just a nice boss to have. All right, we don't need more iconic bosses. All right, we already have the Artoria skin. I think Manus would be too weird to add. It's too similar to some. It's too weird to the Night Lord. The what's it called? The Knight, the one with the corrupted hand, the one that looks like Gundyr. I think there's some similarities there. Calamite, we already have a dragon boss. Sorry, Calamite, but they should pick you instead of Gaping Dragon. So I think Sanctuary Guardian's a good balance. It's a good appetite cleanser. Dark Souls 2, we're gonna do the Pursuer. You know, it should have been there, like Morgott. Would have been an amazing raid. Just spawns in with his sword from the sky and kicks your ass. Obviously, probably not. He's a pretty easy boss, but be pretty sick. Then, Throne Watcher and Defender. You know, they're just two dudes. Is this one a girl? I don't know. I don't remember this boss. I think Defender might be. I think Watcher might be a female. I don't know, but you know, they're just there. They can get downed. They can revive each other like you can. You know, that seems only fair. Obviously, you can stagger them out of it probably, but you know, that seems fair. All right. For DLC, gonna have to give it to Burnt Ivory King. An insane boss, such a cool boss. This might be one of the best bosses of Dark Souls 2, right behind Fume Knight. Fume Knight it's a really good boss, but Burnt Ivory King has better presentation, and it's probably one of the most iconic Dark Souls 2 bosses. It can have a cool pre-phase. It can have a cool fight. You know, it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool. Like, you can already summon people for the Burnt Ivory King boss, so it makes sense. You could probably summon. You can have a 3v1 with the Burnt Ivory King. But yeah, Dark Souls 3. It's pretty tough, but giving it to Abyss Watchers and Pontiff Sullivan, I think they're amazing bosses. This one's literally one of the Lords of Cinder, and this one's just a hair of fire. So, you know, it balances out. It has some pretty decent choices, but I'm not upset of the Dark Souls 3 choices as much as I am with the other choices. Dark Souls 3 is pretty. I think Nameless. If Nameless King wasn't chosen, I would have given it to Nameless King. All right. Dancer probably would have been my first choice, but it's not a bad choice. Demon in Pain and Demon from Below and Demon Prince. You know, some of the best duo bosses From Software's ever made. Like, maybe almost better than Ornstein and Smoke. They're an amazing boss fight. They're extremely well balanced. It'd be great to see it translate to Nightreign. Sister Freed, again, duo boss fight, and then into a single boss fight. Has great AoE, great fight, great moves. It feels very satisfying to dodge. You know, it has some grab attacks that you can put that weird electric lightning thing that all the grab attacks have. You know, it'd be pretty cool. So yeah, it's kind of a short video, but if you like what you saw, hit that like button, press subscribe. I am out. Peace.